If not, please make a message on the chat. So today we are going to have a panel discussion on challenges of aligning BSc Engineering programs with SLQF. So today we have two resource persons that we published, and the event is organized by Association of Engineer Teachers, University of Moratuwa, which is being established since 2012. So what is our reason for this discussion was the accreditation requirements of Washington Accord and the local UGC requirement of going to SLQF Sri Lanka qualification framework. And with that, we invited to discuss, because we have 150 credit system, I think in all our state university faculties. So I'm happy that representing Ruhuna, Veradeniya and Japura, people have joined apart from Moratuwa. So we have all 4 faculty representations here, so that we can have fruitful discussion and this kind of national wide event. So I'm happy that about the representations. So without further ado, let me introduce our speakers. First, Dr. Upali Mampitiya, who is the editor of SLQF 2015, who is a senior lecturer at the Department of Mathematics in Open University of Sri Lanka, who is sitting next to me. And the other panel member, the Dean Faculty of Engineering, Professor Udayanga Hemapala, and the former president of Engineer Teachers, University of Moratuwa, and the secretary of Federation of Engineer Teachers, and as well as a council member of IESL. So he will be representing the BSc Engineering Program and related concerns while mapping BSc program into SLQF. So Dr. Mampitiya will talk about the background on SLQF and how these actors, so qualification frameworks can be used to benchmark our degrees with external degrees and so on and so forth. So the format of the discussion today morning, firstly, we will be discussing, introducing, so the panel members will be giving introductions to the topic from their basis, and then we will be throwing out questions, pre-set questions by myself, and then we will invite the audience also to have raised any questions in hand. So we are planning to finish the program by 3:20, 3:25. With that, I would like to invite Dr. Mampitiya to start with his introduction. So let me share his presentation. And he will be discussing on brief history and rationale of SLQF and the benefits of adhering to SLQF and any other further matters that he thinks that is useful for the event. So you have about 40.
Thank you, Dr. Gamage, and thank you for inviting me for this occasion. Even though this particular program is especially meant for engineering, what I will be doing is actually will be applicable for any degree program initially. Subsequently, during the discussion forum, I can particularly address any issues related to engineering. So, having said that, let me start with some background information on the SLQF. Right. So, so far, there have been 2 versions of SLQF. The first one was developed. First version was developed in 2013, and the updated version 2015. Let me highlight: this is not a revised version; it's updated. I will tell you why it is called updated. Right. The first version was prepared by National Committee, and you can see the name properly the left hand side. And they have taken over 3-year period to develop that one. And I was not involved at that stage, so it's a national committee involving some eminent professors and others here. So they prepared the first version, and it was published 3 times during the short period, 2012, and so on, right? So this is the standard. So then subsequently in 2000, in 2014, then the Ministry of Higher Education started promoting this outcome-based education, student-centered learning in the higher education sector. So what happened was, in order to facilitate that process, SLQF requirements were needed to be aligned with the newly introduced education principles. So then I was appointed as the editor to this version. So the mechanism, the procedure we followed was actually we had several stakeholder participations, not my work actually individually. So what I did was simply editing the work recommended by the stakeholder participation, right? Yeah. So and the key characteristics of the first version of SLQF to determine the qualification remained unchanged. So we didn't have the mandate to change any of those. Right? The updated SLQF was published in 2015, superseding all previous versions. So that's how SLQF version 2015 was developed. Right? Yeah. So that's some background information. Then what happened was, so the UGC issued the circular requiring all universities to implement it. I will show you that circular later on. Then in around 2019, 4 years later, the university started actually aligning their qualification with SLQF. They faced difficulties in implementing, involving the, how do you call it, sort of interpretation of certain things and all that. So as a result, at that time, UGC Standing Committee decided to review the SLQF 2015. So again, a committee was appointed, and I chaired that committee. So what we did was actually we wrote to all the university academics requesting their concerns to be sent to us regarding matters of SLQF. Also, you know that in our country we have another sector called non-state higher education institutes offering degree programs approved by the Ministry of Higher Education. So they were also requested to send their questions. So we collected all those questions and then formulated them in the form of frequently asked questions. Right, close to 100 questions are there. Now they are in the QAC website. If you go by over there, and that UGC approved these FAQs in their particular meeting. So that means all these frequently asked questions are approved by the UGC, and as a result, now as of today, when we refer to SLQF, we refer to both updated version 2015 plus SLQF review report. And actually, if you read SLQF review report, you don't have to use that one. But all the information in the SLQF 2015, that's how we are formulated. Because for a user, the ideal document would be SLQF review report 2019 FAQs. We have put all these things into frequently asked question types. So for the user, the best one would be that document that's in the website. I will share it right here. So that's the status. Then main features of the SLQF, yeah. There are 12 levels. Demanding for learning outcomes and complexity of learning increase with each level. The first 2 levels are senior secondary. Then the next 3 levels, 3 to 6 undergraduate. The other 6, 7 to 12 are postgraduate, postgraduate. I must say one thing here. In the first version of the SLQF, there were only 10 levels. But what happened was in that, they had put 3 qualifications into 1 level. Postgraduate certificate, postgraduate diploma, and 1 year master's. So during the stakeholder meetings, all the postgraduate institutes are represented, EPGIS and all that. They requested to separate. So they say, for the time being, at least this is the first cycle of SLQF. At least then they said it will be easier for them to implement. So as a result, we had to extend now 10 levels to 12 levels. So that was the reason for that, right? Yeah. Then, yeah. So as of we see these are the levels, different SLQF qualification types, starting from 1 and 2, diploma, higher diploma. So undergraduate level, so we are referring to bachelor's honors here for the engineering program, and it goes up to level 12, PhD, right? So there are 3 types of master's degrees: 1 year level 9, then 2 year master level 10 with coursework and research component, and then by research, master of philosophy, and then the PhD. So when you compare with other countries, different countries have different numbers. So there's no magic number as such, right? And I have seen in Canada, there's one particular state Ontario, they have 15, and also Scottish framework has 12. So these numbers vary actually, right? Yeah. Some people I have seen in certain places, you have to have things something like that, but it's not the case. And also my personal views, we can reduce this easily to 8 if we go to the next version, right? But anyway, so this was it was agreed to have 12 in order to accommodate all existing programs in the country at the moment. So that was the basis for that. Yeah. Then the main features of SLQF coming in there. Yeah. There are two key components that need to be satisfied by each qualification. All qualification descriptors and level descriptors. So with respect to each qualification level, these two factors need to be satisfied. Qualification descriptors are simply a set of specifications for each one. Purpose and scope of qualification, attributes of qualification holders, minimum admission requirement, volume of learning. In the naming of qualification, there's a convention, you have to follow it, and then the progression. So what the SLQF does is, for each level of 1 and 2 are not part of SLQF document because this was prepared by the Ministry of Higher Education. During that time, school education was not coming under the view of higher education. As a result, most of the information related to levels 1 and 2 are blank here. So from level 3 to up to PhD level, these things are statements are given for the purpose and scope in generic form. So whatever the qualification, whatever the discipline, whether it's science degree, arts degree, engineering degree, should make sure that through the subject area they meet this requirement. That's all. Purpose and scope. And also when I was reading one handbook of engineering faculty, one department, I saw all the information is there, but not necessarily in this format. I mean, basically, whatever all the requirements that you need to fulfill to make sure that you have fulfilled the qualification descriptors are in that student handbook document. Because we have to extract them, right? And similarly, other universities also they do not have the information required in this format. That's okay. But what you need is to show that university has considered these aspects at the time of designing the qualification. So that's another important thing. These things do not change unless you change the degree program. These things are developed at the time of designing the degree program. That's what it said here. So that's about qualification descriptor. Then, and also one thing is that attributes of qualification holders really means the graduate profile. We are having different terms. I think I saw in other place program outcome, something like that. Also, the other term used by the university. And I will highlight here the attributes of qualification holders are described in terms of this KSAM model that was promoted at that time: knowledge, skills, attitudes, and the mindset and paradigm, right? Something like that here. So then, in order to achieve these attributes of qualification holders, that's the main purpose. They are defined something called level descriptors. So level descriptors are the ones that each individual lecturer will be contributing to the courses that they teach lecture, right? So then, for each level, from level 3 to level 12 PhD level, this requirement, the level of achievement under each category is mentioned there, right? So then, in order to remember, the core areas are knowledge, skills, attributes. That's how the attributes were defined in terms of those core areas. So in order to achieve these core areas, we need to contribute as lecturers to our classes to make sure we accommodate the students to achieve it. So to support that one, we have different categories of learning outcome. There are 12. For each level of category level, the required standard state, like the level achievement, is stated in the SLQF under each category. Right? That's how it is. Then, so the expectation is actually like this one. If you can achieve level descriptors to the program that we offer, then automatically attributes expected would be achieved. It's under that assumption the SLQF has been developed. So our task here would be through the subject areas that we teach to achieve this. I mean, I will not go through beyond that because this is SLQF presentation now. So this is the principle behind SLQF requirement. Right? Yeah. Then implementation of SLQF. So it was asking presentation whether it's a must to implement SLQF. The answer is yes, because due to this circular. This is circular issued in 2017, requesting all the universities to implement it. Similarly, the Secretary of the Ministry of Higher Education then had issued this circular requiring all the non-state education institutes to adhere to SLQF. So because of that reason, there is a need for requirement right here. Then it's important. So the current status is actually because of that circular, lot of universities or most universities have said they have they have designed their program, aligned their program with SLQF, and they claim our program is SLQF 5.6, but it's not verified, not certified. Okay, no. So that's why, because of that, the UGC has just started the mechanism for certification of SLQF level. That's the process, right? So that process just started. Now, if I can try to click some. So I don't want to go through details. In the discussion time, we can go through. So basically, this is the quality assurance website. So if you go here, SLQF certification process is mentioned here, right? Yeah. So this is how we. So basically, when this happens, this there will be an application that apply. Then the UGC will make sure it's similar to the program review. It will not be that lengthy process. So there will be a committee recommending the UGC to saying this is SLQF level, and then it says at the end the outcome will be informed to public. So maybe the way we see it right now, in the UGC website there are different programs now. Maybe in front of that it will say SLQF level 6 certified or something like that. So that is the process. It's about to start now. We are in the process of preparing the final application. That's one thing. Then that's locally. Then again, there's another question asking internationally. So for that, yeah. So then global recognition of qualification. In fact, it is interesting that this qualifications frameworks actually the concept was initially by UNESCO. So there's a UNESCO document which I can share with you. It says currently over 150 countries have either developed the qualification framework or in the process of developing. So we are one of those 150, right? It's interesting. Then in order to have the global recognition, they have to ratify certain conventions there, which we have not done actually. So can I click this? I just want to show you that's how you get the global recognition. Yeah. So the Global Convention on Higher Education, this site has information about the how you. There are several countries. So far, 18 countries have ratified. So basically, when we join that one, our qualification will automatically recognize by other countries, mutual recognition. So that's how we can get the global recognition. It's the responsibility of the Ministry of Higher Education to do that one. I checked this morning actually at them. I know they initiated it, but now they have stopped it. So it's not progressing actually. So that step needs to be done in order to get the global recognition for our qualification through SLQF. So that's what it is now. Yeah. So that's about it in my initial presentation, but I'll be happy to answer any question.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mampitiya. Now we'll move on to our second panel member, Professor Udayanga Hemapala, to talk on the BSc Engineering program and credit availability and credit structure and IESL requirement and background relevant to the today's topic. Over to you. I will stop sharing.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kamkin. Now, I will not take much time because I think almost all of us are from the engineering background. Therefore, I think most of us knows most of the requirements from the engineering, that's IESL requirements and other requirements from the engineering faculties. But just go quickly the basic requirements. Now, if we just look at the IESL requirement, that is for the Washington Accord accreditation or IESL recognition, the minimum requirement set by the manual published by the IESL is 130. And within that 130 credits, there are different baskets given. That is mathematics, basic science, and computing. We need minimum credits of 25. And engineering sciences, design and projects, we need 75 credits. Basically, training also included inside that basket. That is basically 6 credit requirement are there. And complementary studies, that is basically for management and engineering ethics and communication skills. That kind of basic complementary studies need at least 20 credits. Then if you add together 25, 75 and 20, it will come to 120 credits. That means the engineering faculties can add another 10 credits from any of these baskets to get the minimum 130 credits. Whereas if you go by the Sri Lanka qualification framework, you need only 120 credits. Those are the minimum requirements. Even if you go to the SLQF, as Dr. Mampitiya explained, it's a minimum requirement. There is no maximum given. Now, currently, all the engineering faculties, our minimum requirements given according to our performance criteria are set out like this. Meaning, basically, we need 4 years for our course, and credit requirement is 150 and 8 semesters. Those are the basic requirements set out by most of the performance criteria. Now, this 150, why this 150? It's still most of us sometimes because it came due to some reason, right? I mean, maybe when we introduced this semester system and during that time, our academics calculated the credit according to their way, and they came up with 150. All other universities also introduced the same 150, and now it's like a benchmark, right? Everyone wants to have 150, and no one is going to even reduce. And because the reasons what they are telling is basically as we are having 150 credits, we are having SLQF 7. Even we discussed that at different points, and still we couldn't find any document saying that we are having SLQF 7, right?
There is nothing, but there is a UGC.
I don't have a copy with me, but I have seen. I have seen the commission decision. It was actually shown to us during one of the two-way standing committees about 4 years ago. Right.
That is what we.
That's what I have seen it. This is officially commission has a very brief note. Actually, commission decision. Maybe you can get it from someone from the I will try to get it, but it's there.
It is minuted in the one of the commission.
Commission is minuted as it's minuted. Extract was shown.
Yeah.
Right. That is the basics current requirements, right? And if you just look at the workload now, that if there are differences, right? If you just look at the SLQF requirements, we are having 50 notional hours for 1 credit, and for teaching and for the tutorial and labs also 50 notional hours, and the projects and other training of the requirement is 100 notional hours, right? Yeah, I found from the SLQF. Now, according to the IESL requirement, we are having for 14 weeks. Basically, these are 14 weeks, right? That is 14 hours, right? Teaching and tutorial and labs 28 hours, and for the training 4 weeks of the continuous 4 weeks for the training for 1 credit requirement. And in the SLQF credit system, this is student workload of a study program is defined as 1,500 motion. That is also, I hope, that is the minimum requirement.
Average, I would say that.
Average.
Again, if I remember correctly, again, actually, there are norms actually. To say that is student is spending 50 hours per week during the semester time. There are some norms there. So it was on basic with actually, and we made the assumption that again everything was relative now. Before the semester system was introduced, we had three terms of 10 weeks duration. I mean, that's how a typical university system works. So the total 30 now. So then it was required for us to keep 30 weeks academic year. So then we have to do semesterization. So then we split it into 15-week semester. Then we had to choose the appropriate credit basis. Now in UK they have 12 weeks. In Australia they have 12 weeks. Only the US model had 2 15-week semesters. So then during the first version of SLQF. So that's why we pick Carnegie credit definition. You know, Carnegie definition is one credit is you meet the students 1 hour a week, 1 hour a week over a period of 15 weeks. That's the definition. But we simplified it. We said one credit is 15 hours of lectures. You can do it in 1 week. I mean that's abusing it, right? But that's the definition now. So at the same time, the Carnegie says for every hour in the class, students are expected to put 2 to 2.5 hours of liberal studies. Right? That's how the first version of SLQF mentioned. So we didn't change. We simply, since the second version was written in terms of learning, we have to convert all those things to learning hours. So 30 when you multiply by 15 multiplied by 2, it comes to 47.5 at 2.9. So we rounded off to 50. And then the average workload was again taken from the US model 30. So as a result, 15 to 30 became 1,500. So that's the historical background of preparing.
But during the second version, that 2.5 or 2.1, that is removed, right?
No, we took the mean. For example, for 15 multiplied by 2 is for every hour 30 not. So then 30 into 50, 30 plus 50, 45. Other one we can't. When you multiply 2.5, it comes to 52.5. So we rounded it off and got as 50. So still someone asked me that we use Carnegie credit definition actually for the credit here. Simply in terms of notional loss, and it's good because now we can compare it with European credit transfer system. So they use 25. European Union ECPS credit is 25 hours. In our NVQ we use 25 now. Because NVQ credit is 25. They are on their website. It says they follow ECPS. Then in the UK 10. So again it's multiple. So now again there was a recent question from our students transferring to those countries about the credit. We created a FAQ to accommodate it. So that's now UPC approved FAQ so that those students can show it. So in that way also having a round number like 50 made sense. So yeah. So that was the reason for us to. Okay. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much for the initial introduction. Now we will go to the questions from each panel member again. Dr. Mampitiya, I would like to you comment on what are the SLQF categorization of current degrees, engineering, not only engineering, other for in Sri Lanka in general. Everybody who has applied to any categorization that we can see as the current credit requirements.
From what I know, if you take typical programming faculties of science or faculties of arts, there are two types: 3-year degrees and 4-year degrees. So almost all these 3-year degrees are satisfying the 90 requirement. Right? Yes. And also the honors degree program in science and arts faculties 120. But I don't know how to answer the question. The each one has exact 120 or more than 120. Right? That's one thing I cannot answer. But for me, I have not seen practically higher than that requirement. And the way again, personally also when they talk to me, I tell them there's another aspect we have to see. Now, for example, when SLQF level 6 graduate goes out for an interview for a job, it can be from any discipline. if they have varying number of credits, total credits, then the calculation of GPA, when you divide by the bigger number, naturally it tends to lower. No? So their graduates may not be comparable in terms of qualification. So the example again, if for example, if you consider 150 credits to compute the GPA of an engineering graduate, and if this graduate goes to an interview with the science honors graduate, definitely this person is a disadvantage in terms of the GPA, because when you calculate the GPA, you divide. If all A's are it's fine, but average student, if you take, when you divide by a bigger number, actually GPA tends to go down. So as for me, in such cases, this is not necessarily a matter. Whatever the degree, that qualification that earned class may not be comparable actually. That's disadvantage. So I highlight that fact to them. And also there's, I don't want to name it, there's a particular program, even though they have 120, they wanted to calculate the GPA by 114 or something like that. For some reason. Again, I showed them, then definitely this kind of graduation is an advantage over the others. So when people get to know about it, definitely if you go public saying this first class from this qualification, it's easy to achieve that. Others, those are good. No? So that is another aspect we have to consider when you decide that having certain number of credits is one thing, but then you need to calculate the GPA. If you want to compare your qualification achievement level with other colleges, it's good to have number similar to at least 120 obviously, but not more than that. Yeah.
One complementary question to the same question. Now we have GPA and non-GPA modules, which are both contributing to the notional number, taking up the student's time for GPA, which is contributing to the GPA calculation as well as not contributing. So then, any mentioning of SLQF?
No, actually, that's SLQF is all about achievement, right? I mean, the bare meeting is minimum requirement. Again, my personal view is whatever the students are doing, we have to recognize it. Otherwise, I mean, it's part of the workload. No? I think again, since our main topic is actually workload, it's good if we can adhere to international norms. Really, when we take SLQ, I can't tell you offhand. We looked at the standards and norms set by countries regarding student workload during semester time. And that's where we have to start actually. And then see whether our program has deviated from that set norms here.
Based on this and for the benefit of everyone, I just had a look at what the definition of notional hours because of this NGPA to non-GPA to in the time that the average student would need to attend all classes, study for tests, and do assignments and homework. So when the NGPA are also there, then all those also added up in addition to the extracurricular activities. So then I wonder whether do we have some time beyond these allocated time to do any extracurricular activities by our students. In that, I would like to get into Professor Udayanga the question: what are the implications if we are to align with, and there are positives and negative factors. If you are to align with SLQF now 7, as we categorize as 150 credit level, to level 6, 120 level. So what would be the implications or challenges like our topic says?
Yes.
BSc Engineering target.
I will show you some definitions from this accreditation point of view. Now, the issue is maybe the issue, maybe issues coming because of these international accords and the currently available degrees or the diplomas in the country. Now, according to the engineering alliances, there are 3 accords: Washington Accord, Sydney Accord, and the Dublin Accord. And we are following the engineering degrees Washington Accord, and the Sydney Accord basically followed by the technology faculties, and the Dublin Accord basically for the higher national degrees, that is MBA, HND, and MBS. Now the issue is basically, diploma courses, most of if I take examples in BES, the TTI, they are having around 120 credits, right? But they are offering a HND. The minimum requirement according to the SLQF is only 60. Right? While having the minimum requirement 60, they are giving 120, more than 120 credits, and they are claiming that as we are having this much of work and workload, and our students also coming from the A level, the same physical science stream with 3 S's, and they also do this 120 credits, even though they are giving qualifications like diploma, they are equal to degree, right? They are claiming that even though UGC has not given any certification, they are claiming that they are having 100. I mean, they are having an equivalent degree. That is one thing. And the second thing, engineering technology degrees, and they are having exactly 120 credits. Therefore, they also get SLQ. They are already going to the SLQF 6 level. Now, at the moment, we are having 150, and we are claiming that we are the SLQF 7. Then, at least, if you just look at the SLQF in terms of SLQF, at least we are in the highest position. Right now, the question is, if we come back to 120 or 130 as per the IESL guideline, we may get the SLQF 6, whether we get any disadvantage. But personally, my feeling is we won't get. But the problem is the way how the SLQF look at it. Because in the IESL terms, we won't get any disadvantage, because Washington Accord graduates will come as the associate members. Sydney Accord students, graduates come as engineering technologists, that is one level below. And the Dublin Accord graduates, not the graduates, they are coming as diplomates, they are coming even one level below. Therefore, there is no issue in terms of the IESL. I mean, if I just show this document, you can understand that Washington Accord is engineering degree 4-year, Sydney Accord is technology, and Dublin Accord is basically HNDs, and even NBQ 4 is also mapped to the Dublin Accord level currently. Now, according to the IESL point of view, we don't have any issue, because we are not actually, if I talk in terms of the IESL, we are not following this. We don't worry about this. We are looking at all these 3 accords. Therefore, for IESL point of view, there is no issue. I mean, even diploma course coming with 500 credits and claiming SLQF even 12, I don't know. But for the IESL point of view, we don't worry about that. But I don't know that the way the SLQF, therefore we have to find out a solution for that as well. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? I'm Anurudh.
There's a raise hand as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we say the HND course has also 120 credits, and so are our courses and so on. But you know, the value, quality of the credit, are we reckoning it? Now, for example, in engineering faculties, at least in our engineering faculty, we have a norm that to become a senior lecturer, there should be a PhD. That's the minimum qualification to become a lecturer, senior lecturer in the, at least I don't know about other universities, at least here we have that. And then, and none of the HND or NDT or these places, do they have that quality of the credit? And so how can we compare those credits with our credits?
In fact, that's very true actually. In terms of SLQF, what was mentioned is required actually. Now, you can see in this.
Sure.
You can see in this slide actually the volume of learning that we are talking about is only one factor. Right? We have not taken into account when this mapping was, I don't know how UGC was making that decision. I don't think I was in the QA standing committee that time, because they were discussed whether engineering degrees could fulfill purpose and scope, attributes of qualification holders, and all those things. And also, not only that, even the next one, now the learning outcomes of requirement listed under this particular category. I think, for example, I have to see carefully. Now, the level 7 is meant for graduates who are having 3-year degrees. To make sure that compensate with that one, with postgraduate certificate, diploma, no, and all that. So basically, if I remember correctly, some of the statements, for example, under that certain category, may be slightly lower than level 6 degree. So we have to look at it carefully actually. So this, in other words, in order to claim the level, you have to do a mapping for each and everything here.
But the question I raised is different.
But no, so you mentioned about the quality now.
Yeah, quality of the credit. Now, quality of in our university of a certain program, certain subject or whatever, which a 2-credit subject, how can you compare the delivery of that credit by a highly qualified PhD holder with 10 years experience or whatever, to compare with somebody without having any of these things delivering to a HND course? And now we say the same, are we going to give the same value to that credit?
So in fact, that's why I was referring to the achievement level.
No, I'm saying the delivery and the quality of the teaching. And so that is how the engineering faculties differ from HND or NDT courses. So we can't put this credit, the quality of the credit, to the same basket and say 120 credits in the HND program, and so that is that equivalent to our credits in a university or engineering faculty. There's fundamentally something wrong is there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
For example, in this page of SLQF, if you take the subject and theoretical knowledge, expected level of achievement is listed under each cell here. So it's in actually hierarchical order, it's gradually increasing in terms of this Bloom taxonomy wording, right? So we have, for example, now someone who's achieving level 5 type of 120 credits would not fulfill requirement of SLQ level 6. You know, the achievement level must be at level 6. Now, for example, every graduate produced by engineering faculty would be at level 6. That is achievement level. You have to make sure that the students, you give the opportunity for students to achieve that level. So that's why again the volume of learning alone cannot be considered to decide this SLQF level. That's only one factor.
Professor Hemapala's concern is whether now simply what he is asking is 1 credit at an engineering faculty, whether is it equal to 1 credit at HND.
Yeah.
Because now we are making equal. So that is why they are claiming it. So we also get 120. You also
comparison. For example, we have to see that probably if this HND level is 4, probably 4 no. So maybe they are required to teach their courses at the level 4 achievement level.
Yeah, that's true. But
that's again, because of that reason, you cannot compare. Having 120 credits at that level. Now, my point is, volume of learning is only one factor out of so many other factors. So that cannot be used as a tool to determine the SLQF level. This should not be the case here. It's only one factor. We are seeing that the mapping can show actually. For example, level 6 is very high actually, the achievement level. Actually, the should be achieving that well. So and others don't. So that practice needs to be considered.
Yeah. On the other hand, now it is okay. Now, if we just look at the technology degrees and the engineering degrees, now both will come to the SLQF level 6. Yeah. How can we differentiate them?
Well, again, that's again maybe professional in the fact. Again, I still remember when this particular question was asked at the stakeholder workshop also in 2015. So my answer was actually SLQF requirements are minimum requirements. Certain degree programs would automatically meet them, effortless. There are certain degree programs in faculties, level 6, they have to struggle. Maybe engineering is one such program you would easily. That's it actually. This is the purpose of SLQF is that actually to maintain a minimum standard for all programs at defined level. But thing is at the same time, certain degrees may be superior, obviously. But it's the case now even in the US, for example, Ivy League engineering degree would be considered much better than but that does not mean they are different level now. So that's why it's not out of outside SLQF, my view. That's how I see it here.
Yeah, no, even BSc we have 6.
Yeah.
At 6. Something else also we get, so that we cannot say that I equal.
Let's proceed with the rest of the questions. And again, Dr. Mampitiya, now you have briefly mentioned about this international acceptance of our SLQF. Now, how to benchmark? Now, question is how to benchmark SLQF with other international qualification frameworks and how they accept. What are the mechanisms of accept?
That's it. I deeply touched that.
Yeah.
But now there's another one. So this is a UNESCO document published in 2020. This has Asia Pacific all qualification frameworks, right? So basically, this UNESCO is has recognized this information. So what we need to do, that's first step. So now, for example, a place like QAC or UGC now what they should do is they should take all these frameworks and do a mapping to show this is where our qualification is with respect to other qualifications. No? And also it's already done. That's another file I have here. In the UK, for example, Wales has their own qualification framework. Scotland has their own. Irish, they have one. England, they have one. And then European one. So there is the one. You see here, this something like that. So, sorry. Yeah. So we are actually what we need to do is a country. We should do is to prepare something like that. But for example, the very first one is the European Union. Second one is the England one. Third one Wales. Fourth one Scottish. Fifth one Ireland. So these are the respective levels. You can see. So they are mapped actually. So for us also, what we need to do is to see now. For example, maybe we can first do with this one here. And appropriately map our qualification and recognize and it to be recognized or endorsed by the UGC from this end. So if we need to do something, and also if you can sign that the UNESCO convention about qualification that I just mentioned in the presentation will be globally recognized. There are courses actually we have not done that to answer your question. Yeah. But at least now UGC is in the process of answering questions one by one. For example, recently there was a particular student, lecturer, who has applied for UK, and they wanted the interpretation of our credit mapping. So basically, he would have written, but it's not accepted now. But now we have an FAQ in the UGC website, saying commission approved. This is the definition. So things like that are happening actually. Now also there was another case regarding MPhil and MPhils actually. One of the MPhil holders of a Sri Lankan university wanted to apply for PhD in European Union. So they wanted the equivalent credit amount, because in our MPhil PhD we say in terms of years now. So again we formulated an FAQ. Can I go? For example, this is the QAC website. So if you go to SLQF, we have the FAQs are here. Then these additional FAQs are the ones we developed after the report was submitted. So it's ongoing thing actually. When there's a question comes here. Now, for example, there are a few such things based on what the recognition. What is the minimum duration in years required to bachelor's degree and the bachelor's honors degree? Because there was a discussion of certain university where even level 6 can be offered in 3-year time period. And also the non-state higher education institutes were tried. So as a result, this was discussed and we gave this answer. Commission approved. So what we say is, in view of the about to give guidelines, give the SLQ, the minimum duration in years required to bachelor's degree is 3 and honors degree is 4. So now it's answered. Now it's added. Then this question came, about this visual degrees, visual master's degree in fine arts and visual arts, performing arts. In certain countries, there was a discussion saying they recognize at the PhD level, something like that. So in order to answer that question, that was also answered. Right? Yeah. Then what I want to highlight here in this context is, what are the respective minimum volume of learning required for MPhil and PhD? Because in our system, in the context, we say it's in terms of full-time study years. No, So we say minimum 64 MPhil, minimum 194 PhD. Because again, when you say 60, because they work throughout the year, no, we expect no. So the 30 workload is from academic year. So we say that it can be more than that. So this is a yardstick for them. For example, in the ECTS, their volume of learning is 25 credits, 25 versus 1 credit. So they can compare it with their position and judge the workload of NP person. No, In one more, This is also based on the requirement of such applicant. How do you interpret SLQ credit in terms of ECTS and the UK credits? So we have answered that question. So that's the gate. Now these people can actually show this thing to the respective universities because this commission approved, no? So it's the standard in the country, no? So maybe what we are answering is in ad hoc manner now. What Dr. Kambia's question here. But ideally, in order to map the qualifications, we should do something that European people have done actually, and go to this website. So then only you can say,
Right. Moving on. Then I think Prof. Udayanga has mentioned about other categories of accreditation with respect to other categories of engineering profession. So going in line with that, how to map the categories of engineering profession with SLQF, and we discussed that question mostly. Any other consequences in aligning BSc Engineering Program align with SLQF? Any consequences that may happen with the other categorization of engineering professions? If they also can be measured from the same yardstick, so what disadvantages would we face?
As I explained previously, we are having 3 different categories and different qualifications, right? And also different requirements like 4-year degree. Even now, engineering technology degrees, the IESL requirement is basically a 3-year. Even though the government universities are having 4-year degrees, IESL requirement is a 3-year degree. Why we call it? Why we make it 3-year? Because our entry qualifications for engineering, even engineering technology degree, we assume that the students need at least some sort of mathematics, physics, and chemistry background. But in the local context, the students who are coming to the UTC universities, they don't have that minimum requirements. Because of that, having 4-year is justified. Because IESL requirement is 3-year with the having foundation with the physical science stream. Now, have then the UGC students, they have to follow like a bridging program, kind of a bridging program according to IESL, right? According to IESL, they have to follow a bridging program within the first year to bridge the minimum requirement. That is basically they have to follow the mathematics, physics, chemistry. Actually, the UGC universities also following the same. Like our government universities, what they do is basically during the first year they do mathematics, physics, chemistry, and all these basic subjects. Therefore, in the IESL, what we do is basically we don't consider the first year credits, right, for the calculation of the total credit. We just take that credit as a foundation credits, right? But not the IESL. That I mean SLQF. SLQF they take all the 4 years for their qualification. But IESL, what they do is they take first year as the bridging program and the rest of the 3 years the degree. Therefore, in terms of IESL, we take the technology degree as a 3-year degree, right? Even though they are claiming as a 4-year degree. I mean, in that sense, the IESL, we make a difference, right? That is one of the way of make some kind of a difference. That is one thing. And the second thing, if you just look at the basket, like as I explained previously, for the Washington Accord of the engineering degrees, mathematics, basic science, and computing is needed, 18. And if you just look at the second basket, we have divided this into several categories and we have added engineering design and basically projects. Because what we think in terms of the IESL, we think that the technology students should focus more on projects. Like their main competency is basically to maintenance sites of the profession, like not to design basically. Therefore, the emphasis that they have to do more projects rather than doing more designs, right? And the minimum requirement is set out as 100. In our case, it is 130, and here it is 100. That means that 30 credit difference is there, just to show that there is a 1-year gap, right? The engineering degree is a 4-year degree, technology degree is a 3-year degree. Even though they do a 4-year degree, they are having a 4-year. That in that way, we have categorized into 2 levels, and if we continue in that way, even though we are having the SLQF 6 level, I personally feel that there will not be any issue of having both technology and the engineering at the same level, SLQF 6.
And also, actually, I think now, even though we consider Sri Lanka qualification framework, there is really higher education qualification framework. We look at only the academic part of it. Now, for example, I'm sure like professional degrees like engineering, there are other requirements. So, but that can be considered as separately. So, SLQF is focusing only on the academic part of it, the academic component here.
Right, I would like open the floor for from the honorable region,
I can say previous one.
previous one.
Previous.
Right. I'd like to open the floor for any questions from the participant from online.
My computer, it's not there. In my computer, it's not there.
Floor is open for any questions from the audience, in physical or in online.
Mentioned that MD and PhD in one level, right?
Well, MD with board certification.
Board certification.
So the MD without board certification is in a separate category.
That's right. Basically, it was developed by now, that's right. So basically, again, subject expressed in that one, I also played a role. What happens is now, we will see this one. this one. A PGIM MD is PGIM MD also, right? Yeah. So basically now this is the mapping here. Now currently this is being done for DBS also. Now the first column has the SLQF requirements written in the book for PhD. So now the PGIM MD with board certification, they have said this is how we do it. And similarly now someday when you want to put in the engineering degrees are fulfilling the SLQF, this is something like this needs to be done. SLQF one in generic form here, then your programs here. Right? So basically, subject experts did this one here. So and commission have to recognize and the independent group actually verified it. So they agreed then the PGIM MD with board certification is equivalent, right? PhD level, SLQF level 12. Currently, discussions are going on to map another column. Even the DBA, Doctor of Business Administration is offered, and that's also it's not automatic. They have to do the mapping and show which the SLQF requirements are met. So that process is going on, right?
But there is a problem. They don't have a board of certification.
It's okay. The board certification was done for some particular reason, but time gap, I think something like that. I don't remember. The subject experts gave the reasoning for that one. Yeah. So that's the status right now. So now, just I was told, just MD without or even a foreign MD would not be considered. So the PGI MD is mapped. Maybe if somebody wants to claim, then they have to do a mapping and get the approval from the UGC. That's how it is.
Right now we are still connected on so we have lost the audience. Right, in the event now I have other questions sent by one of the members of engineer teachers, and some of these suspects are covered. So I would like to now this kind of confusion, right? Exactly like accreditation, the quality framework, or something like that. Quality and qualifying framework, I think, different, but it will help to improve the quality and benchmark the quality. Right?
The quality assurance part.
Yeah.
SLQF is in one component.
One component. Yeah, the first question they are SLQF being a broader framework to accommodate all kinds of academic qualification at the whatever the levels defined by them. What provisions or specific attention has been given for engineering and medicine management and such key fields, major disciplines which have substantial differences in and scope individual to appreciate their differences. So that is one question as I think.
Yeah, it's actually, I don't know that I can answer that question, but I think for me, the difference I see is actually the qualifications just mentioned there are professional qualifications. Whereas SLQF is mainly for academic qualifications actually. So that's how I see the differentiation. As the volume of learning is required more and all that. Yeah.
Recruitment, if you just take the recruitment, can we make it? I mean, can somebody can give 6 hours SSU, but different qualification?
Yeah. I mean, I can only answer that. I can how you can make a difference. For example, right now, they say the university honors degree on these fields. I mean, they can say no. They can even actually now, for example, UGC says standards for A-level streams. No, yeah, to get the appropriate weighting.
Right. Another question. Stop share. Any more questions from the audience? I think previous space and I cannot. I need to go there. Go there. Doesn't matter. For engineering discipline, we abide by the international standards like the accords we mentioned, Washington and Sydney and Dublin Accord. In addition to those, we do have the institutions such as IESL, IESL, ECSL. I think Professor can contribute that as well. This question: who do substantial regulation within the country? And they're similar for if you take management or some charter living bodies.
There is a project.
Yeah, we will go by this and then take the question. To make things simple and straightforward, is there any opportunity to get everything under one roof and to ensure eliminate any other discrepancies among the profession? SLQF is going separately, or can we align or take everything in one roof and both of you can?
I think so. I think the way I see it, that these things are happening in other countries. Now, for example, in the US, I was just they have this ABET, right? ABET. So ABET and Washington Accord mutually recognized. They are mutual recognition. I think universities are going for ABET thing. And when they get that one, automatically Washington Accord is there. No? Yeah. Something like this can be done. And my view is, from what I have seen in the documentation, it can be mapped. So maybe all the universities together can request. Maybe the next UAC formally, one university can request. It's worth doing it actually. Because again, in order to show that you achieve SLQF level, you don't have to blindly follow it. That's my thing. You only need a mapping. That even actually when you read the handbook, I mean, I was reading the handbook online today, I saw most of the information required are there. You only have to show it. This requirement is met by this and all that. If the universities can do it collectively, that's even better. So in what I'm saying is mutual recognition. For example, if a qualification is framed according to IESL or Washington Accord requirement, then automatically other party can consider saying SLQF requirement is met. I think it's possible. That's all I can say. My personal view here. It's worth trying it. Yeah, that's it. It's called mutual recognition. UGC. It's a mutual recognition. Mutual recognition. That's the term they use there in the US actually. For example, Washington UGC recognizes degree programs recognized by this entity, this SLQF level, whatever. Other way also. If it can
actually,
be
I
done.
think that the new act, what is called that
QAC,
that bill, yeah, that bill, I think sometimes like 2-3 weeks ago we had a meeting with the quality association and our IESL participants was there. I think she was saying, I think we also request the same from the IESL point of view. We request the same, and without having different accreditations, our one accreditation, then mutually recognized one. Then once IESL recognize it, then QAC will recognize or something like that.
I initiated a QA because we are doing duplicating the thing for the IESL accreditation and UGC. So though there are different aspects looked at, so I initiated. So then Professor R Gamage had with the IESL president, they had a discussion, right? How they can avoid this duplication.
No, I think
Now it's expanded.
What I see it actually, this needs to be recorded now. It's good if all universities together can make one presentation and prepare a document. Saying this now, for example, the special PGIM MD is mapped to PhD level. Something similar. So that means every university will make sure that they follow that program when they design new qualification. So with that kind of agreement, it's one and for all. It's possible the way I see it, my personal view.
Right, there is a question from the chat, from University actually. Is there a common guideline for the indicative marks?
Unfortunately, you guys actually this circular 901, it seems, there they have the grades and the grade point values are specified. The marks ranges are not specified. That's up to the universities to the faculties to decide here. Doesn't go into details such as saying A needs to be from this one. That's decided by the
85.
No, that circular was issued, but I think moreover we are not following that.
no, what is following that circular, no?
No, there are certain ranges are different.
No, the marks ranges were not given, no. Not sir, not
Okay,
no. Then subsequently we did the QAC.
Yeah.
Made a formula actually saying how to calculate. So, and it is going to come out not as a circular, because when we got the views from the various faculties, it came out almost 50% of the faculties were in favor, and 50% they want their own way. So then, in order to accommodate those who requested, so it will not come out as a circular,
As a guideline.
as a guideline. Yes, that's right.
As a BO.
But the 901 is a circular.
Yeah.
Where the grade point values are assigned for each grade. That's fixed for the system.
Yeah, that is.
Right, another question from the participant, which I think with the credit numbers, what are the barriers of regulating engineering degree programs at 130 credit limit from the SLQF perspective? Number of credits from 130 to 130.
No, I think again that's again I would say subject benchmark statement question. Now, I mean that should be addressed. Now, if you go to the medical one, I think to some extent those things are addressed to the BSc. Now, I was in mathematics one, and we addressed that one for mathematics. We say the requirement for credits in terms of mathematics and so on. Right. So, I think that particular question is a generic form for every subject. No. So, engineering specific one, the SLQF how you apply it should be indicated in terms of engineering the subject benchmark statement. Maybe the multi-university academics must be in the team, no? And maybe they can contribute. No, yeah. That's the subject benchmark statement question.
Right, I think most of the questions that you touched upon, since it is raised, I'm raising it again for the benefit of the members who have joined. This shows how could the SLQF ensure that the essential for basics of engineering degree has been sufficiently delivered. In engineering program is
That's again SBS and the program review.
subject benchmark.
Yeah, and the program review it will be the review actually.
Subject benchmark.
And program review.
Can't we merge this SLQF certification and the PR?
Yes, actually, yes. You asked that question, and I was saying very recently the postgraduate program review manual came out. Right, and I did one cycle in that. So in that actually, because what happened, the SLQF certificate is built in. So when the postgraduate programs are reviewed, SLQF certification is built in. That's good. That's right. Because what happened when this particular PR manual was preparing, it was not considered. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So that manual is available on the website. And that's what I want to show you. If you're developing new programs,
I
make So there are totaling about 120 standards in all. Out from that, 26 standards will contribute to determining SLQF. This is the manual for usage of the program.
Will not assume now. One last question now. Assume if anyone, if any university will not apply to this program, what are they inconceivable? What will happen? What will happen?
I think that
There's faculty and they are having programs and they are not applying to.
you have to, there is a guy checklist. There is a circular. This must.
Yeah, and circle is there, must is there.
Yeah,
So assume I'm the dean, not applying. What will happen?
What will happen? I ask this question. We are thinking of what are the actions to be taken.
So you mentioned only for PG program.
UG is anyway.
Program is at the moment is voluntary. Actually, they are given. No, yeah, that's it. Even actually, this BGPR manual it says regardless, you can determine whether you get enough marks or you can opt out at this stage. Because during the program review, you have the option of actually not taking that one also. That you can separately apply. That's why certification process is the real one here, right? So you have two methods to get the program, the certificate level of post-graduate. One is through the certification process, the one is through program review. Yeah.
Right. I think we are coming to a conclusion and we are coming to a end, and I promise Dr. Mampitiya to leave him to another meeting by exactly 3:30 to the university. So with that, I would like to especially thank Dr. Mampitiya for coming all the way from the Ministry of Open University to enlighten us and other faculties. And thank you very much for your presence today, Dr. Mampitiya, and the Dean Faculty of Engineering, Professor Udayanga, for your valuable time in sharing the information on the site of the BSc Engineering Program. Of course, more or less from University of Peradeniya, Ruguna and Jawadanapura, people who attended online. Thank you very much for attending. I hope you got some message regarding aligning with the SLQF, and you can further extend these discussion within your faculties for a betterment of quality education and as well as the workload of academics as well as students. With that, I would like to conclude the session today. Thank you very much for attending. We'd like to extend some tokens of appreciation to our panel members. With the initiative of the Mampitiya, small token of appreciation for your take pictures. Yeah. Thank you. That's all. Yeah.